Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to All the Mods 6. So, since last episode, I've been doing a bit of building. We're going to pop back over to our main world here in just a moment. But I came into the test world, and I'd been testing around with the spells that were added by Undead, and I gotta be completely honest, they are very underwhelming. The whole Undead faction, very underwhelming. So, as a refresher, in case you've forgotten, the Undead faction has a couple drawbacks, right? It makes it so that you burn in the sunlight, like a normal undead would, and in addition, it makes it so that your mana doesn't naturally regenerate. You can see up here at the top left, we have a mana bar. This is at level 75, and we have 11,350 mana, which is a lot, to be fair. Normally, it's like, I don't know, 800 and something, or 900, something like that. If I recall, with Wizards, with the Crown, you can get it about 1,000. So you do have a large stockpile of mana, but of course you have to get that mana back from killing mobs. You know, it doesn't naturally regenerate, which there's a couple ways around that. But those are the two drawbacks. And the only straight out benefit that you get is you can breathe in the water, which there's 100 different ways, of course, in modded to breathe underwater. I think it would be a little bit more impactful if there was something like a life leech, like maybe, 10% of the damage you deal is transferred to like life regen or something like that. It would be a little bit more beneficial. But I thought, well, maybe the spells kind of make up for it, because, I hadn't played around with the spells much. There's a lot of slimes building up. Or maybe the artifacts make up for it. First up, for artifacts, you get a coffin, which the coffin, of course, basically it replaces a bed. So you can sleep in a coffin. The strange thing is you can't sleep during the day. Okay, so for example, if we take a rest here, we can sleep and it becomes day, but you could see I cannot sleep during the day, which would make more sense, right, for Undead, because we burn in the daylight. So the coffin is basically just another bed. It does look cool. It's a nice looking bed. I was expecting it to work more like the hammock, where you can sleep through the day and turn at night, but that's not the case. It's just a bed. So it's kind of meh. And the other artifact you get is the Ring of Brittle Bone. Which what this does is this allows you to, whenever you kill a mob, you get a little bit more mana back than you normally would. Okay, and it's still, this is pretty much something that you have to have if you're going to be running the Undead faction. So that's one ring slot that you pretty much have to tie up into running the Undead faction. So it's kind of another drawback. The other factions do have rings and stuff that you have a lot of incentive to use. Like the Wizards have, the Leyline ring. For example, I swear it rains all the time. But the Wizards have the Leyline ring, and it's good. It's not really required that you have it, but it is quite nice because it gives you a little bit extra, basically a little bit extra oomph as far as mana goes, where you can use some of that Leyline energy to cast with. This ring, literally all it does is it gives you back a little bit more mana when you kill mobs. So kind of basically just something to kind of make up a little bit for the downside of the mana debuff. On to the spells, right? There's 4 spells that are limited to the Undead faction. First up, we have the Summon Skeletal Horse, which literally just summons the horse. It is a good horse. It has a lot of jump, as you can see. You do kind of get caught up in the air for longer than I would like. I wish the jump animation was a little bit faster, but it is kind of a cool little spell. I'm not crazy about the way the horse looks, because it literally looks like a ghost horse. And I think it would be cool if it was like a decked out skeletal war horse. Than just a spectral horse. But still kind of a nice spell. You do have a lot of speed with this horse as far as travel goes. Which on its own is pretty nice. But I think Elemental Craft, us having the wand and fling and all this other stuff, I don't know that it's enough, Next up we have Mind Vision, which this spell is... I'm not crazy about it, to be honest, because for starters, there's a couple other spells that do kind of similar things, and all it does is if we cast it, I can't move the camera at all, and I can't move the creature, but I can see out of its eyes, so see what it's seeing. But it does leave me there open to attack while I'm casting this, while it's under effect, so I'm probably going to get beat to death in any realistic situation. And you can hit spacebar a couple times to get out of it. By default, the duration is 30 seconds, and you can boost that duration. Alright, now next up we have Mist Form, which is an alright spell. I actually quite like what it does, but there is kind of some downsides to it as well. So, Mist Form, basically if we cast this, we turn into a mist, a blob of mist, which is kind of cool, and we can fly around. You know, it's basically like creative mode flight. To some degree. It doesn't last a long time. It is by default only a 10-second duration. You can boost that. I'm not sure how much. So if we set the duration, we can make it into a minute, which is actually pretty good at a mana cost of almost 200. But bear in mind, you're not going to be able to actually use this for travel and stuff like that too much, because bear in mind that you're having to get your mana primarily from killing mobs. So that is something to be aware of. But what's nice is Mist Form. You move really fast, you take reduced damage, and in addition you can move through non-solid blocks. So that means like glass you can move through, but of course cobblestone we cannot move through that while under the effects of Mist Form. So it's not like something that we could use to go down underground and find dungeons or something of that nature. It's just going to be pretty much something that you use occasionally as far as the traversing blocks, because it's going to be non-solid blocks. So it's not really for exploration. And something I should mention about the Mist Form is if you use it, you cannot build while you're in Mist Form. You can still attack mobs, which is kind of useful, while taking, of course, reduced damage, which I do like that. But on its own, I just don't think that it's really worth it, to be honest, because that's really it. Okay, now on to the most lackluster spell. The biggest disappointment for me is Possession. What this spell allows you to do is it allows you to possess a creature. Now, most creatures are basically useless. You can't really do a whole lot with them. Like, for example, if I take the slime and I bounce it over to this guy, I can't do anything with it. Also, some creatures, this is a strongest version of Possession, which only lasts for 15 seconds and has a magnitude of 3. And even with that, I can't take stuff like Spellbreakers. I can take hulking zombies, which is cool, but I can't do anything with them. So, hitting left click, it doesn't do anything. So, kind of bleh. It just kind of runs like a lamb to the slaughter on this guy. And even the Skeleton Assassins, even though they can throw shurikens, they can't actually do anything. So kind of useless. You can't just attack mobs. The only good mobs that I've found are like Enderman, because you can teleport. Like if you left click, you kind of get Enderman vision, which is cool. It's a cool effect, but basically useless. Creepers are also extremely good, because what you can do is you can walk up to something, hold left click, and boom, blow it up. And skeletons, you can try to shoot things. So you have no HUD, so you're kind of aiming in the dark here. Oh, you can actually shoot. Oh, no, you can't. I thought I hit him a second ago, but no. But skeletons, you can shoot their bows, but you have no HUD, and it's kind of weird. I wonder if I can... Oh, I can't even shoot his bow, though. So, that's a thing. Okay. Well. Spiders. Can we actually do anything with these? Yeah, you can actually attack mobs with spiders, it seems like. Basically useless. For 200 mana, a bit of a letdown in my opinion. The only thing that I find that's actually useful for is creepers. Because creepers can explode things. If you want the creepers to explode. So, boom. There we go. But most things, there's not a whole lot of benefit to it. So, also the allies for Undead Faction, Skeleton Assassins, I don't see them very often outside of the Nether. So having them as an ally, not that great. And hulking zombies, they do a lot of damage, but they move so slow that most other things wreck them. To be honest, I like the Witch Hunters and the Spellbreakers a whole lot more to have as allies instead of enemies, because they're actually pretty strong. I think mages have the best allies. because the other allies I just don't think really stand out as much in terms of sheer power as the Spellbinder or the Spellbreaker and the Witch Hunter. So overall, there's really not a whole lot of upside to playing the Undead faction, in my opinion. So I don't think we're going to go with it. I wanted to show you guys it because it's kind of new and I'd never even played with it before. But overall, I was left a little bit wanting, to say the least. Mistform being, I think, the only really nice spell out of the whole batch. And I think in a vanilla situation, maybe Summon Skeletal Warhorse. Okay, back over to our main world. I've been working on getting Rote on break. Let's pop back over. You can see I did get range and delay. Now, that's something worth pointing out, worth noting. Range and delay on a break spell. Delay, it adds a delay to it. Range does nothing, but you can still get Rote on it, even if the modifier does nothing. I actually got range off of break, and this is just a break like that. But you can see I've almost got Rote with break, and I did get delay and range up to Rote as well. Also, transitory tile is up to Rote, so steadily getting through these at the moment. Let me see if I can actually get, because I'm so close. There we go. I need to get Collapse Roted at some point. I've got it almost halfway, so that's not so bad. I'll try to get that one roted out. But anyways, we're going to be moving into getting our faction today. You can see I have done a little bit of building over here, kind of starting to shape up that island, and doing a bit with the platforms mod. If you've been on the channel for very long, you know I love this mod. And we're starting to, is that a, yeah, Earth Shard. Starting to run some platforms out down through here, and you can see I did add some supports down through there. So we're well on our way to kind of starting into this platformed area that's going to kind of span through a bit of the water and stuff. And around this area as well. Now over here I have this laid out. This is the ritual. If you take a look, I know we talked a little bit about this, but in a past episode. But if you look at rituals, you're going to see a variety of rituals here, like Ritual of the Wizard's Council. This is the one that I have laid out here, which is going to allow us to join the Ancient Council of Wizards. So that is the faction that we want to go with. And what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to have access to, or direct access to the wizard artifacts. So like the Ring of Ley Lines and the Crown, which I love the Crown. We'll be able to craft those when they become available based on tier, and we will have access to their spells. If we take a look inside of here, you can see that this is the symbol for the Council of Wizards. Arcane damage, we're going to get that. We're going to get shield. We are going to get Animus, which is one of my favorite spells in the game, personally. I mentioned in a prior episode that I love this spell. I was really hoping that Possession was going to be something more in line with Animus. Like just being able to possess creatures but not actually control them probably would work a little bit better. Or having better control over creatures would have made Possession a little bit better. But at least right now I feel like it's kind of not finished maybe. So Undead faction, of course, subject probably to change, and we may see a bit more out of that, but we'll see. And then Mana Transfer and Mana Shield, both kind of handy. Mana Transfer maybe a little bit less handy in single player, but it is pretty good, especially in like a duo or something like that. We get access to all of that, and we also get access to, right in here, we'll get access to the Leyline Bracelet. Yeah, it's a bracelet, not a ring. I was thinking it was a ring for some reason. And then we'll also get access to the Unguent of Seeing, which basically just goes along with the bracelet, and the Arcane Crown, which is kind of nice. Some of the other factions get really nice stuff. Fae is alright. It's kind of meh as far as just raw power, but it is a little bit of fun to play with. And the demons are more about raw power than some of the other factions. So both of those are pretty good, but Undead I just don't think it's where it needs to be perfectly honest. So anyways, let's pop over. And of course, this is going to allow us to now tier up. So let's activate this ritual. And let's get our Mana Weaver wand at the ready here. And here we go. And that's the Ancient Council of Wizards. If we stand here in the middle, they are going to give us their power. Ha ha ha. You know, that's something I didn't try, is see what actually happens if you go to join the Undead Council, or the Undead faction, what would happen. But they're going to levitate us up into the sky, and we are going to become a full-blown wizard. And it's going to then tier us up to the tier 3. You feel the presence of hundreds of wizards current and past, their knowledge and power shared with you. You have allied yourself with the Council of Ancients. And so we are now tier 3 at this point. I think we will be able to now gain experience again. You can see that right there, we're getting XP again. And we'll be able to rank up, I think it's 45, right? 50, no, not 55. 45, yeah. Okay. And we have a few things here. We need to complete 11 out of 14 tasks once again. We need to cast a tier 3 cantrip. We have to complete a tier 3 ritual, craft a construct with at least 3 iron or gold parts, craft a spell with complexity 55 or more, craft an Eldritch Orb, craft an artifact from your faction at the Mana Weaving Altar, which is great because we have one of the best starting artifacts in my opinion, as one of the wizards. Enchant an item using the Runic Anvil, which we're going to get into that, but not at tier 3. I'd like to wait till tier 5 to do our enchanting, because I would like to enchant my gear, but I want to do it with this. Find another fortress. We've already done that. Find the stronghold. That'll be easy enough. Perform a sanctum invocation ritual and complete the structure. Reach 10 kilometers away from world spawn. Reach magic level 45. Reach the nether and summon a wither. Okay, well, I'm assuming that reach the nether, if we just pop into the nether, does this count, or do we actually have to go through the nether portal? By the way, those guys are going to be enemies to us. The skeleton assassins and hulking zombies are now going to be enemies to us. Those guys are probably the biggest threat. To be perfectly honest, they actually deal a little bit of damage, and they're ranged, and they have pretty far sight. Those are the main ones to watch out for. The skeleton assassins are pretty easy. Yeah, that counted. Skeleton assassins are pretty easy, and hulking zombies are pretty easy. Honestly, the wizard faction, to me, has the strongest allies, because spell breakers and witch hunters both are pretty strong, to be perfectly honest. And it's kind of nice not having to fight them and to have them as allies to you. So, alright, now there's a few easy ones in here. Cast the tier 3 cantrip. Very, very easy to do, of course. Whoops, that's the wrong wand. We open this up. We have Summon Grimoire, which is Ender Storage for spells. And we have Freeform spell. Put a spell here and cast it when you perform the Mana Weave combo. Modifiers will not be applied. Okay, so we're going to just go for this one. Summon Grimoire. Okay. There we go. We got a Grimoire. And this thing right here, we can hit control and right click, and we can just slot spells into that. And basically what this is going to allow us to do is it will allow us to basically put spells into this, and then we can just like toss the Grimoire and lose it, and then we can always conjure it back. So we can have 10 spells that are available through a cantrip that we can just summon right back, right? Not something that we'll probably use, because we're going to be using Book of Rote, and that's basically an Ender book. You know, it's got all of our spells available. Now, craft a spell with complexity 55 or more. We are going to do that. Now, is there anything in particular? Arcane damage is a lot of fun. Blink, also very, very good. These, of course, are phase spells, which we're not going to be getting those. Duration is something that I would like to have. Lightning damage. Leyline Transport, also very, very good. Night Vision would be handy. Smite, Summon. A lot of good spells in tier 3 here. Swift Swim. Yeah, Yeah, so we're going to be doing quite a few of these, and we've unlocked quite a few more things here. You can see we got wall, we got sigil, which is something, you know, we can put on the ground. Smite, is kind of nice. That's like calling down meteors. And wall is kind of nice because we could do like a wall of frost damage or a wall of arcane damage. It's actually quite nice as well, especially when you have a lot of mobs that you're dealing with. And there's literally a lot of really good stuff in Tier 3. Radius as well. I don't think we get Magnitude, do we? I think that's Tier 4. Yeah, Tier 4 is Magnitude. That's what I want for our break spell. There's actually quite a bit that we're going to be using Magnitude for. And at Tier 4 we get Animus as well. Transplace, Watery Grave, Wave, Recall. A lot of good things. Invisibility, Haste. Okay, now one thing I do want to test is if we were to open up our Book of Rote, and let's go to like spell 3, can we do something like Frost, Projectile with, let's see, Frost Projectile with a Gravity Well, and this is something that we haven't really talked about because just now do we have the complexity to really do anything with it, in all honesty. But within the Book of Rote, once you have access to a number of spells, you can mix effects. You know, you can mix effects with this. So, something to kind of bear in mind. That does not count as crafting a spell. Makes sense. Okay, so in that case, we are going to need to craft a spell with complexity 55 or more. That'll be fine, because there's actually quite a few spells here that I would like to get in as Rote. So, let's go with, for example, ooh, what do we want to start with? Because Emanation is good, Wall is good, Smite is good, Summon is good, Sigil is good. They're all so good. Let's go with a Wall. These are actually a lot of fun, so we're going to go with a Wall. And we are going to use our nifty new Arcane Damage. Because what kind of a wizard would we be if we didn't go for roting our Arcane Damage first thing? Or Ley Line Transport. Both are really good. And this can be affected by damage. Do we want to slot it, or do we want to keep the mana cost low? I feel like maybe keeping the mana cost low might be best. So let's do Radius. We've already got Delay, we don't need it. And let me see, didn't I get Duration? Or no, am I thinking of... I think that was a Tier 4, right? Yeah, or Tier 3 is Duration. So yeah, I should probably slot Duration, if nothing else, to get it roted. And you can slot these, and it doesn't affect the mana cost to slot them. As you can see, and it doesn't have to be something that you can even make use of. But just slotting it will get you road experience for that, so I do suggest it. We did get range already, so I'm not going to slot that. Even though it is beneficial, because we can increase the range here. But I think that's good. And then let's boost the duration. We'll say 4 seconds. And then let's boost the width to 4 and the height to 3. Let's boost the width again and the width again. So it'll be 6 on the width. So we'll go with that. So we'll go ahead and scribe that out. Now this is going to take quite a bit to actually pull off. But that's okay. I did make a bunch of glyphs, so we will be all set on glyphs. So we don't have to worry about that. We'll go ahead and lay out our spell area real quick. And honestly, at this tier, it's not too bad ranking up because it's all just kind of natural things. There's not really any like brand new mechanics per se at this stage, and it's basically just kind of working through the motions and just playing the mod. Because nothing in here is all that crazy. You can see we did 3 of these things. None of this stuff's all that difficult. Now I am going to want to craft our artifact and maybe make an Eldritch Orb. The Sanctum Invocation Ritual. Magic level 45. It might be time to summon a Wither. And we're going to do this. And probably do this and this. Okay, so if we take a look here, we are going to need a Written Book, Blaze Powder, Mystic Focus, Magma Cream, Purple Glyph. We've got a Rune of Arcane, a Rune of Water, a Rune of Defense. That's something we haven't talked about, though it is just rune crafting. So if we take a look at Mana and Artifice here. Also Magic Wand, some Chimerite, Desert Nova, Pufferfish, Daylight Detector, all that stuff is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to be getting that together, but we are going to need a Rune of Water, Defense, and Arcane. Okay, so the way this works is, once again, we're going to turn to our rune plates, and we will grab ourselves a couple glyphs. I figured it was time to bulk make some glyphs because it was overdue, in all honesty. And I think I'm probably going to need another chisel at this point. Let's go ahead and pop that in. And this is basically how enchanting. It's basically the same as the way enchanting is going to work. So, for example, if you take a look at like Rune of Fire, for example, and you take a look at the Mana Weaving Altar recipes, you can tab through these. There's different recipes, and you could see this one, for example, requires a Mote of Air, a couple Blaze Powder, Magma Cream, Orange Glyph, and a Rune of Fire, and you can get Fire Aspect too, enchant. So, this is kind of an early look at that, but we're going to be, of course, using this for crafting and not for doing enchanting just yet. So we need a Rune of Water, and this one is laid out like so. And we'll go ahead and draw our middle sections out first. And this is some of the more elaborate runes that you're going to be dealing with. And that broke. So there's our Rune of Water pattern. And of course we can drop that onto there with our superheated Ventium. And we can hammer that one out. And then we just need the other ones. It is... see, Rune of Arcane and Rune of Defense. Defense is this one right here. And then we need the Rune of Arcane, which is this one right here. This one's actually one of the hardest ones to craft because it's just so wild and crazy. And there we go. There's that one. Now we just get this hammered out. Now before we tackle enchanting, I am planning on getting a lot of our runesmithing automated before that time comes. It's just going to make our lives a bit easier, and it is something it is something that I do want to get done, and that's actually something that we're going to be crafting out our golem at this tier to do, is some of our rune related stuff, because it's going to become very, very time consuming here soon, doing all this by hand. So, as you might imagine, a little bit more costly on the actual rune plates, but when it's automated, it doesn't matter so much. When it takes more of the rune plates, because they're default recipe in this pack, so not expensive at all. So, okay, so there's that, and then I think all the rest of this is pretty straightforward, right? So, yeah, this is all stuff that we've pretty much got lying around or can easily make. Okay, we're ready to activate this ritual, so let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to keep working on getting some levels here while that starts up. And there's our spell. Okay, this is our Arcane Damage Wall of Doom. And that's what we're going to call it. Let's do Arcane Wall of Doom. It's not going to be that powerful right now, but as we tier up and we get the ability to increase its damage and stuff, more complexity and more mana to cast with, stuff like that, it's going to be increasingly better. So let's go ahead, throw it into there, and really I could lose a lot of these at this point. But let's go ahead and grab that, and let's go find us something. Okay, we got a zombie right here. So what we can do is we can shoot it and hold, and you can see that we can channel this wall. And you can see it draining my mana a little bit here. And after 4 seconds, it's going to release. We can let it go before 4 seconds, but you can see that we basically channel this wall here that will then damage mobs that touch it. And so we can kind of make a little safe place temporarily, maybe while regen goes off, or we need a minute to catch our breath or something like that. Oh, and we do actually get experience without it having to actually hurt something, which is kind of good. Yeah, the mana cost right now and the damage. I probably, well, thing is I couldn't really get the damage up with the low cost, so it was hard to make a decent wall right now. But this will allow us to road in wall, and then we could make one, say, that does frost damage, or one that does arcane damage, or all sorts of things. There we go. And let's see, how are we doing on that? It looks like it's going to take a little while to probably get these roaded, but that's fine, because I've got a bit of leveling to do anyways, because I do need to hit level 45. So, alright, now what else is there? Go to 10,000 blocks away from spawn. That's actually a pretty easy one. Let me see, what's the farthest? Mana Master is our farthest point from spawn. That one actually might be far enough. So we pop out here. That counts, yep. We've already done these things. So that's 5. This one will definitely do, so that's 6. So we need 5 others. Now, I do want to do the construct. I don't know if it'll be next episode, or because it's basically going to rely on me getting the build in place for that, but we are going to be automating some rune crafting. So once I have the build in place, I wouldn't mind doing that. I'm not sure if I want to do this as my sanctum, though. See, that's a 9x9. I don't know if I want this to be my sanctum, though, because I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of benefit from having it be here, to be perfectly honest. Because basically what it's going to do is it's going to buff our spell cast while we're around it, you know. And then our artifact from our faction, I do want to do this to get our bracelet. The Leyline Bracelet. This is going to be Mana Crystal Fragment, Mode of Magic, and a Mundane Bracelet. So let me get this together real quick. We're going to get our Leyline Bracelet today and talk briefly about ley lines as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our bracelet. And I've got everything else together at the moment. Let's go ahead and put that in, and that in. And then to get our bracelet, it is going to be triangle, circle, and then I've got to get the triangle with the line through it. I had to do that on the spell too. There we go. See, that one's actually not too bad. And then we need triangle, upside down triangle, and diamond. And that's going to get us our artifact for our faction. So there we go. And we'll go ahead and just charge this up real quick. There we go. And we'll put this into one of our bracelet slots. Okay, so what this does is there are things in this world called ley lines. Now you can make either the spell that I'm about to show you, which is Leyline Transport. I love this spell. Or you can use it, or you can use the Ungut of Unseeing. Where are you at? Right here. You can use this as well. But we are going to be going with this spell right here to find our ley lines. So let's call this Leyline Teleport. And we'll just take like that. There we go. This, I'm over halfway on arcane damage, duration, radius is going to take a little bit, looks like, and wall is going to take a little bit. Let me, I actually need to empty this out a little bit. So basic fling, don't really need that. Ice bolt. Collapse, I still need. Divination, I don't need. Gravity well, I don't need. Transitory tile, I do not need. I really just need these two, and then we'll put in the Leyline Transport. So Leyline Transport, the reason I want to make this spell is twofold. First up, we can teleport with this, but then we can also right-click it, and we'll be able to see ley lines in the world. Okay, so you can see that there is a ley line off in this direction, and if we hit it again, we will warp to that ley line. And we get this kind of cool little animation. It's almost like using a luminizer, within Britannia. And we're going to warp over to the location of this ley line, which is right here. So we know that there's a ley line here, and you can see that we can click this and just kind of, it'll stay on screen for a little bit. And what this bracelet allows us to do now is whenever we would cast a spell, so for example, This one, we'll be able to use some of the mana from this ley line as part of our cost. But as you saw, it took me a lot longer to run down my mana with Arcane Wall of Doom. And that's because we are near an arcane, or near a ley line. So basically this is going to kind of augment our spell cast when we're near a ley line, and cause it to basically to absorb some of the mana costs that we would normally have to spend. And so it's basically going to allow us to cast a lot longer, generally. Basically, kind of think of it as somewhat of a mana efficiency ability, which is going to come in quite useful. And then in addition, even if you're not near one of these ley lines, there's going to be kind of these residual motes of like arcane energy or magic, and we'll be able to draw off of those as well, and in turn cast longer. Not as big of an effect as a ley line, but if you're near one of those ley lines, and they're all over the world, as you can see. So if I hit this, you can see there's more off in that direction. We head off. Let's see, our base is right down to our left. Right. Let me see, where am I headed? Oh, I'm actually right there. Are we near a ley line? Oh, I got a buggy one. I got a buggy ride. Oh no, I'm actually moving kind of away from it at this point. Ah, okay, there we go. So the Leyline Bracelet, I tend to really like it because I just get a lot more output from my mana, generally. I mean, sometimes you're not going to get as big of an effect from it. Of course, if you're not near a ley line, or I guess if there's no motes of magic nearby or something like that, you're not going to see as much effect. Leyline Teleport, just a great spell for mass travel. It's pretty much hands off, and you can get thousands of blocks without it taking a whole lot of effort on your part, because you're able to just fly out, hundreds of blocks at a time with this. Now, it is a little bit wild because you can't control where a ley line is, but generally there's going to be ley lines, within a couple hundred blocks of anywhere. So if we need to go out and, say, find a stronghold, Leyline Teleport is going to be great because we can throw an Ender Pearl, pick a ley line that's kind of in that general direction, and go on that ley line, and without it taking any food or anything like that for us to make that travel. Now let's see, to get the Eldritch Orb, it's going to take an End Crystal, and beyond that, that's actually really cheap. Yeah, let's get this together real quick. That's going to be Arcane and Defense. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this, because this thing is amazing, so I would like to have that. Try not to use these up though, because we're going to be making use of those in the next couple episodes. So, been trying to make duplicates of any that I use. Like I did run out the claw one, so I have a fresh, brand new claw one over there. Speaking of, we do need to get that crafted up here in just a moment. We're not going to use it this episode, but we might as well go ahead and craft it. So we'll toss that in, and then for the Eldritch Orb, we need Diamond, Orb, Inverse Triangle. Or not diamond, but triangle, orb, inverse triangle, not diamond. There is our Eldritch Orb, and then what we can do is just hold control and right click. We'll hang out here because we have mana regen 5 here. That's capped out, there it is. And then we can drop this into our bauble slot for our head slot. And then this thing is going to just kind of levitate around us. You can see right there on the left. We're kind of getting a lot of these like pets that just do constant damage against mobs. It's great. And what this is going to do is when we get near an enemy, it's going to damage that enemy. Now we can also enchant it, and we will. You can see it shocking the zombie there. And you can see that it's not really draining any mana from us, which is quite nice. It's just going to electrocute the zombie for free, not dealing a lot of damage, as you can see. This zombie is a little bit armored, so there is that, but So the Arcane Orb, just kind of nice to protect us. Now, we can enchant it. I can't remember what all the enchantments do. Artifice, Eldritch Orb. Bane of Arthropods does slow to spiders, endermines, silverfish, equivalent to enchantment level. Flame burns the enemies, actually pretty good. Knockback, of course, does knockback. Allows attacking multiple targets with multi-shot. Quick Charge fires more often. Smite applies weakness and slow to undead. Targets equal to the enchantment level. Probably, honestly, Flame or Quick Charge would be good. I think Flame, of course, actually makes it into a damaging attack. Quick Charge, like, because the fire would, burn them pretty good. Multi-shot and Quick Charge also kind of nice, but we'll figure out what we want to enchant it with. For right now, just having it is quite useful. Also over here, something we haven't talked about yet. Let me get our Air Affinity spell. But over here, we also have another Golem set up. And I do just want to go ahead and craft this out. This is going to be a pure Air Affinity Golem. We're not going to mess around with anything else. Just going to be pure speed in this case. So we'll just do that and right click. So this is going to be for something that we are going to be making. So you stay right here. He's going to come into play once we get a little area built out. There's a couple other projects I'm going to be using golems for. But I think the next one that we're going to be doing is going to be some rune crafting. And he's going to be used for our rune crafting setup. We're going to be doing something. I know there's like an example setup in the book. We're going to be doing something a little bit differently than that though. With the way that we handle the rune crafting. So we will be getting into that, like I said, here in a couple episodes. But I know it's about wrapping up point for this episode, so we are going to be wrapping up this one here. Come next episode, we are going to switch gears for like an episode or two, because we have been doing a lot of Mana and Artifice, like 3 or 4 episodes. So I do want to take like a break for an episode or two, because for one, I need to get a little bit more building done over here before I can really do this and what I want to do with that, as well as I need to set up dedicated places for making moats, because right now I'm just doing them out in the middle of nowhere. So I do want to get some of the dedicated places for those in place. Our spot for rune crafting, I want to take some time just to get some spells roaded up without it feeling like excessively grindy for me, personally. And also take some time just to kind of level our magic a little bit, get us up to 45, which really that's not going to take a long time, but roading our spells in will take a long time, because I don't even think I'm actually about to finish out arcane damage and duration. So wall, I still got a little bit. Radius, I don't have to do it right now. I can do that with another spell. That's not a big deal. At some point, and then probably make some more spells and get some more effects roaded in, because like I said, just having all of those roaded in as quickly as possible is super beneficial, because like right now we can't do a whole lot within our book of road as far as making some cool effects, because we just don't have that much roaded in. So I would like to get some more stuff in there that we can then make use of to make some pretty cool spells, because book of road is where we want to do all of our spell crafting, because we can mix these effects and do stuff like this. Whereas with this, we can literally only have one effect. We can't chain into other effects with this. So I would like to get a bit more roading done and a bit of building done over here. So we're going to be switching gears over to a little bit of a side project for a couple episodes. And then we will come back over to some more Mana and Artifice as we begin moving into Tier 4 and then in turn Tier 5. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.